Good evening. Good evening. I'm Roger Daltrey, and I'm the lucky guy who's been kind of working on putting these concerts on for the last 12 years. And the guy on the screen just now, his name was Andrew, and this here is a friend of Andrew. This is Nick. He's one of our success stories, and he's going to tell you something later. But just before I hand you over to Nick, I'd just like to say that these comedians, they've been there for us since 2003. I went to meet Steve Coogan and Baby Cow, which is his company, and I told him about what the Teenage Cancer Trust does. We don't provide medicine. We build hospital wards for teenagers, because if it wasn't for the Teenage Cancer Trust, people like Nick and like Andrew on the screen, they would have been in hospital wards with old people, or if they're under 16, they would have been in children's wards. And I suggest that if you were in a ward next to me, you wouldn't like it, and I'm sure I wouldn't. So that's what the Teenage Cancer Trust does. It's nothing to do with the medicine side. It's to do with providing an environment where teenagers can live their lives as teenagers. It's incredibly important. I'm sure all the parents here know that your teenage child that was a child is now no longer a child, and he or she is no longer an adult. They are teenagers, and they are very, very different, and they have very different needs. But anyway, I'd like to thank Lindsay Hughes and Steve Coogan, Baby Cow, and all the fantastic, fantastic comedians for all these years. 9 years they've been here every year for us. I can't thank them enough. And let's keep it going for as long as we can. I'll hand you over to Nick.
Hello, everybody. You all having a good evening? I'm Nick, and on the 31st of August 2010, I was diagnosed with bone cancer. I was 16 at the time, and I had no prior experience of being in hospital. I'd never stayed in for a night, and my first night was on a Teenage Cancer Trust ward, and every single fear I'd had about being in hospital, that I'd been worried about being stuck with people that were my own age, that were either babies or really old, and I wouldn't mind being in a hospital bed next to you, because you're quite cool. Lovely. But Teenage Cancer Trust really made a difference to me personally, and it makes a difference to hundreds, if not thousands, of young people across the UK. As Richard said, 6 young people a day are diagnosed with cancer in the UK. And as Roger said, we aren't old people, we are children. We're in between. We don't have our own selection or special ward as such. But that's what Teenage Cancer Trust provide for young people with cancer throughout the UK. They build wards especially for us, and not just wards. They provide people that help us through. They provide trips for us, activities for us to do, so we're not bored in hospitals, equipment for the wards, people to help with activities on the wards, special training for nurses, anything to help young people who are in a horrible, horrible place. And although it is bricks and mortar that they provide, it's the continued service following that, following the completion of new wards, that is really, really essential. And it's fantastic that you've all turned out today to support TCT, or Teenage Cancer Trust. It's brilliant, and I'm personally, and I know many of my friends who I've met on the ward will be, so pleased that you've decided to do. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of you, and I hope we continue to provide an excellent evening, as we have done so far. And thank you to all the comedians who have helped, and thank you to everyone who's helped set it up, and thank you mainly to you for coming. I hope you all have a good night.
Thank you. And on next,
Roger Daltrey and the outstanding Nick, ladies and gentlemen.